Hello everyone and welcome back to Steins Gate Zero. I'm G, and we have been dealing with Kaguri's interesting memory issues and the fact that she has some of Kursu's memories. And last time she had some sort of weird flashback / meltdown, and now we continue. Once we got back, she went to sleep and didn't wake up. Her headache seemed to have calmed down, but sometimes she would still moan. I'd contacted Mayuri and the others, and they were probably going to arrive soon, but the words she'd said before.
Save me. Someone get me out of here. Save me, Mommy. Why won't you save me? Mommy!
What was that? Were those fragments of her lost memories? If that was the case, then she really was...
Green!
Just as I went to look at the clock, the door opened and Mayuri and Rikuko came running in.
Is Kaguri okay?
Yeah, she's sleeping now.
I'm so glad.
She must have heard us talking because Kaguri's eyes slowly opened.
Kaguri. Huh? Where am I?
She looked around, afraid.
Calm down, you're in the lab. The lab? Japan? That's right, Akihabara, Japan. Japan. I'm in Japan. Oh, that's right, that exchange program. I need to get ready for the lecture, don't I? Exchange program? He's acting strange. Hey, Algreen.
Exchange program. Lecture. Those were Kursu's memories.
Huh? My paper! Where's my paper? I worked really hard on it so I could show it to Dad.
Calm down, Kaguri. Those aren't your memories. Kaguri looked up at me in a daze.
Ocarine.
That's right. Your name is Kaguri Shina, not Kursumakise.
Kaguri. My name is Kaguri.
Rikuko, sorry. Can you handle this?
Yes.
Kaguri was confused for a while after that, but she gradually started to calm down again. Once it seemed safe to do so, I'd taken her back to Yanabayashi Shrine. But maybe we weren't going to be able to look after Kaguri ourselves after all. Maybe we should take her to a hospital? Was it my ego that was stopping me from doing so? I kept thinking about that as I walked along.
Maybe she's gonna stay over tonight, okay?
Yeah, that would be a big help. It would make Kaguri feel a lot better. Try to treat her like you normally would, as much as possible.
Yeah, okay.
I told her to contact me right away if anything came up, then headed back to the lab.
Is Kaguri in bad shape?
That was the first thing Suzuha said to me when I walked through the door. She and Maho were sitting on the sofa. I told them about the situation already via Rhine. But they were still worried anyway, probably. She's calmed down now, but she was very confused for a while.
Is it Kursu's memories?
Yeah, at this point I don't think there's any doubt. I still didn't know why, but inside Kaguri's mind were Kursumakise's memories. The question was how to deal with this problem. There were limits to what we could do on our own. The most we could hope to do was figure out how this had happened. That wouldn't be a real solution. To really fix this, we needed to get her back to normal, to erase Kursu's memories and restore the original Kaguri. And for that, we needed the help of a specialist. Maho Hyajo was a specialist in that sense. There was nobody else who knew as much about memories and the workings of the brain. But there was a problem. We still hadn't told her that Kaguri was from the future. In this world line, Maho didn't know Suzuha and the others that well. Of course, she didn't know about the future of the time machine. Was it okay to tell her?
Hey, how did you guys meet Kaguri? I wonder what she was up to before she came to Ushibara's house. Kaguri was found near the prefectural border in Chiba. When she woke up, she didn't have any memories of what had happened before.
That was the same as the last world line.
But she had her memories of when she was a kid, right? You knew her, didn't you? Where was she when she was a kid?
Suzuha looked at me silently. Who is it?
Kaguri okay?
He's fine, don't worry.
But I'm so worried.
You getting worried will just make things worse. Show her a smile.
Yeah.
It is harder for Kaguri than any of us. We need to cheer her up.
You're right. Thanks, Green.
Thank you. Suzuha looked at me silently. She felt responsible for what Kaguri was going through right now, probably. I could see on her face that she wanted to bring back the old Kaguri somehow.
Uncle, what do we do? Can we tell her?
Maho was a scientist. If we told her the truth, she'd be sure to take an interest in time travel. She might start working on a time machine. This was a big risk. But if we want to save Kaguri, we don't have a choice, I guess. And I thought for a moment, then nodded. My priority right now was helping Kaguri. Suzuha nodded back and then turned to face Maho.
Only a very few people know what I'm about to tell you. So make sure you don't tell anyone, okay? What's all this about?
Maho seemed overwhelmed by the sudden chill emanating from Suzuha. But Suzuha kept talking.
It may seem like a joke, but it isn't. Can you promise or not? Pick one.
Maho looked at me hesitant, but she must have seen something in my face.
Fine. I won't tell anyone, I promise.
She nodded.
Alright, start by answering your first question. Where were Kaguri and I when she was a kid? We were living in 2036 after the Third World War ended and civil wars raged on everywhere.
Maho's mouth hung open for a second, but soon her cheeks flushed with anger.
Don't make fun of me. I'm being serious here.
Suzuha remained silent. Her eyes were ice cold and staring straight into Maho's. Yajo, Suzuha warned you at the start. This isn't a fictional story and it isn't a joke. Suzuha and Kaguri came from 25 years in the future in a time machine.
In a time machine? There's no way you can make...
Even if I told you it was Kursu Makise who came up with the basic theory. The second I said Kursu's name, the anger vanished from her face.
Can't. Fine, I'll listen to what you have to say.
Suzuha and I told her almost everything. How I met Kursu. About the D-mails. What happened in the Alpha World Line. The development of the time machine. Mayuri's death. A tractor field theory. What happened in 2036. What was going on with Kaguri. The one thing I didn't tell her was the truth about Kursu's death.
Just give me a moment to process all that. What you're telling me is that Suzuha and Kaguri came here from the year 2036 to have Okabe change the future, right? That's right.
Maho sank into the sofa and sighed.
I can't imagine Okabe being capable of pulling something like that off. Can't believe the fate of all humanity rests on a single person.
I don't think I can do it either. I'd given up, actually. On the entire future.
It's not really believable, but the theory you described might allow for a time leap, yes. And more than anything, it was Kursu who came up with that theory, right? That's worth looking into. Because he was a genius.
The words together seemed like a mixture of admiration, jealousy, and envy. So you believe it, yeah?
In exchange, I want you to let me see that time machine. You came here in it, it still has to be around, right? It is. It's very close. I'll need to look into this, but I've decided to believe you for now, so I want you to help me to believe. Alright.
There was no hesitation in her voice.
Thank you.
If Suzuha said it was okay, it wasn't my place to speak. If Maho was going to help, that was all that mattered. Let's get back to Kagari. Like I just told you, she separated from Suzuha when she was 10. And we have no idea where she was until she was found last month. I'm thinking she may not have been in Japan. For how long, I had no way of knowing. It may have been the whole time, or perhaps only a week.
Nicolocarine's hypothesis is that she was at Victor University.
Yeah, and then in some form or another, she made contact with Amadeus. The look on Maho's face was one between acceptance and resignation. He sighed loudly. A copy of Kursu's memory data had been saved for use by Amadeus. This data was the only possible source for the memories within Kagari's head. Her words today had only strengthened my theory. Exchange program. Lecture. These fragments of memories were all from before she'd come to Japan. Memory data had last been saved just before she'd come to America. That was another match.
I just checked with Dr. Leskinen a while ago. Kursu's memory data has been sealed away and no one can access it, he said. I don't have the authority to check that for myself. And it's possible someone took the data before the project was shut down.
The only people who could have done that were people involved with the Amadeus research, right?
Not necessarily. Anybody could do it if they hacked the server.
Anyone was an exaggeration. Your average person wouldn't have a clue. You'd have to be a super hacker.
Question is why? If your theory is right, why would they want to do that?
The most obvious possibility was that someone wanted access to Kursu Makise's mind. But Amadeus should suffice for that. There is no need to move her memories into another person's brain. Why would they want her mind that badly anyway? She was a genius, sure, but she'd only published a single paper. There was no reason to think it would be that important to anyone. Unless... What if someone knew that the basic theory of time travel was locked in Kursu's memories? Someone out there would want it.
Kursu arrived at that theory in the other world line you were telling me about, right?
Have you ever heard of Dr. Nakabachi's paper?
Nakabachi? Guy who sought asylum in Russia?
That's right.
I took a look at it, and calling it a paper is being way too kind.
I think it's an inferior copy, and there's another version, an original.
What are you talking about?
Dr. Nakabachi's real name is Shoichi Makise. He's Kursu's real father. I thought back to what I saw that day.
I've also been thinking about whether it's possible to create a time machine. Read this. I want your opinion, Dad.
It's not bad.
Really? I think maybe we could publish it under both our names.
Don't publish this. I'll take it.
Come to think of it, I remember her saying before she left Japan that she was going to see her dad. He was announcing a new theory and she'd been given an invitation.
That day, Nakabachi had stolen Kursu's paper. And after he'd gone to Russia, he'd published his own paper. I hadn't seen it myself. Whenever I thought about it, I always thought about what I'd seen that day and what happened right after, so I'd been avoiding it. But I'd heard the professors at school talking about it. It was so terrible that it had become something of a running gag. But if it was just a bad copy of an original, if what had been published was just Nakabachi's own reinterpretation of Kursu's theory, and her original still existed somewhere else. That's right. Kursu had written the original theory. It had to be better than that. She'd actually succeeded in making the timely machine.
You mean someone found out about this paper and is trying to get the theory needed to make a working time machine out of Kursu's brain? The cause of the Third World War was the intensification of the race for the time machine between the EU and Russia. Even America started to get involved, and it got completely out of hand. Things are proceeding exactly as history said they would.
Those people had attacked the lab in the last world line. Denoji had said they weren't Japanese, but they were military. So military wanted Kursu's time machine theory. That would explain why they chose to download her memories into Kaguri's mind.
Who is it? I'm worried about Kaguri.
Believe in us.
Oh, right. That's right. I believe in you more than anyone, Okabe. Of course, in Hashida and Maho, too. If there's anything I can do, let me know. I'll do anything.
Let you know. Please and thank you. Amadeus would never talk about something that I didn't want to talk about. But what about a human? There were truth serums and torture methods. A human could be forced to talk, maybe. Maybe they'd done that to Kaguri. Of course, this was just a guess. But if it was a military that had tried to kidnap Kaguri, it was quite possible.
Moving memory data into a brain, huh?
It's possible, right? Even with modern technology. Kurisu succeeded in it, and she said it was an application of her own research.
Yeah, that's right. It's possible. And that's what Amadeus was originally created to do.
Medical applications, wasn't it? Leskinen had talked about it at the seminar, and Maho had interpreted. In this worldline, Amadeus had been shut down, and the seminar had never happened, though. Maho gave me the same explanation I'd heard before. It was right, and memory data transplants were theoretically possible.
Kurisu's time leak machine is another application of this.
Of course, both of them were intended to move the memories back into the original person's head. And Kurisu had said that even that was dangerous.
Then what would happen if you tried to move them to another person's head? I don't think it would be as simple as copying them to a hard drive on a PC with a different OS. You don't even know how much capacity the human brain has.
I think that's supposed to be an I.
In terms of strict storage capacity, it could easily have enough room to store the memories of two 20-year-old girls.
Daru had once told me that the brain storage capacity was 3.24 terabytes.
But the problem goes beyond that. Like you said, we're still not even at the point of successfully downloading memories back into the original brain. If you tried to copy those memories into somebody else's brain, it could cause serious inconsistency problems. In fact, we're seeing those errors start to happen right now. What will happen to Kaguri if we don't do anything? Will she turn into Kurosumaki, say? Memories and personality are different things. Memories are controlled by the hippocampus and cerebral cortex. Personality is constructed by the prefrontal cortex. The functions of the two are intricately connected.
Different parts of the brain had different functions, but they weren't completely independent. Memories probably played a large role in forming your personality.
The mix of the two sets of memories is probably putting a lot of stress on her brain. If we don't do something, it could cause her entire personality to disintegrate.
Suzuha slammed her fist into her knees in frustration. Is there some way to stop it?
The only way is to remove Kurisu's memories from Kaguri's mind.
Can you do it?
If I can analyze the data in her brain, yes, but how many years away that is, I don't know.
Suzuha's fists were clenched so tightly I could almost hear the sound. I could tell she was blaming herself for letting Kaguri run away.
If there was a way, it would be to overwrite her past memories again.
Overwrite her memories?
I don't think that whoever altered her memories intended to leave her original ones.
She might have been right. Putting two sets of memories into one mind was just asking for problems. Which means that the experiments they'd done on her had resulted in a different outcome than they'd intended. In a sense, we had failed.
So if we were able to overwrite her memories once more with proper equipment, it might fix her.
But we don't have that memory data.
We'll just have to hope they made backups. What about the equipment? It would be great if we could just find it somewhere, but if it doesn't exist, we can make it.
It's not that easy.
A Kurisu made it, right?
Huh? Oh, right. It had to work similarly to the time leak machine.
Which means I can. No, I will make it too.
I might be able to help with that.
The question is where to find her memory data, though. We'll just have to find it somehow.
There simply wasn't enough information. All we knew was that it was a non-Japanese Western military. And that information wasn't solid either. If anyone held the key, it was the woman in the motorcycle suit. I thought of a name and quickly brushed it from my mind.
Any good ideas?
None. It wasn't Yuki Amane. It couldn't be. We talked late into the night trying to come up with a way to find out who had done the experiments on Kaguri. But even though we spent a lot of time on it, none of us had any good ideas.
I can't believe it. No, but it's true, isn't it?
On the train back, Maho Hyaja was having trouble controlling her excitement. Two girls who said they came from the future, narrator Okabe's story about the time leap machine. Normally, she'd never believe them, but if Kursu Makise's mind had made these things possible, she could accept them. Kursu was a genius, she just might be capable of it. To Maho, Kursu seemed capable of anything. And most of all, she'd seen it for herself. On the way back from the lab, Suzuha had taken her to the top of the radio building and showed her a real time machine. It was night, she didn't have a lot of time to look at it closely, but she could tell at a glance that it wasn't made with modern technology. Honestly, she wanted to start work on making another one tomorrow. No, right now even. But she had something to do first. The time leap machine that Kursu had made. She needed to make an improved version. That meant she was going to be practically living at Okabe's lab for a while. So she decided to get what she needed from the office in Wako City. From outside the building, she could see that the lights were still on despite the late hour. Maho! As soon as she got inside, Dr. Leskinen rushed over, his face pale.
What happened here?
The room had clearly been ransacked. Of course, the place barely had anything in it to begin with, so with a quick glance it was hard to see what had changed. But Maho and Dr. Leskinen's desks had clearly been searched. The drawers had been locked, but the locks had been broken and their contents spilled out. Dr. Reyes hadn't brought much of anything, fortunately, and so she'd escaped with very little damage, but her drawers had been dumped out too.
What happened here?
Someone broke in.
A thief? It was like this when I got here. It might be espionage. An empty office like this?
Wouldn't it make more sense to hit the Riken Institute next door? Only a few people even knew this office existed to begin with. Suddenly, Okabe's words began to take on a new meaning for her. Did this have something to do with what he'd said? Was a secret war over the time machine already beginning? Anyway, Maho, I want you to see if anything's been stolen from your things.
Okay.
Well, was anything taken?
No, nothing of mine.
She checked the desk and the drawers and couldn't find a single thing missing.
What about you two? I don't seem to have lost anything either.
I looked at my computer, but I don't see any trace of access by a third party. Be sure nothing was stolen.
Yes.
Come to think of it, Maho, what about your laptop? Was that stolen?
Oh, I left that at the hotel. It should be fine.
I see. I hope you're right.
What do we do? Call the police?
Nothing was stolen. It might not do us any good to make a fuss.
You're right. Maybe we should just wait and see what happens.
Maho wasn't sure that was a good idea, and she could understand that going to the police would be a big hassle. Especially since they weren't Japanese to begin with. And more than anything, Dr. Leskinen probably didn't want to lose time that could be spent on research. The same was true of Maho, too.
Actually, Professor, I need a favor.
Dr. Leskinen agreed to give her a vacation much more readily than she expected. Maybe coming to the office over New Year's had paid off. Now she'd be able to focus on the time leap machine. Once she got back to her hotel room, she quickly got her things ready. She wasn't checking out of the hotel, but she needed clothes and other things so she could stay at the lab for a while.
Okay, the last thing I need is...
When she finished packing her bag, she grabbed another bag that was placed next to it. It was a laptop and portable hard drive that she'd gotten from Kursu's mother after her death. She tried many times to crack the password, but never managed to succeed. She knew that she wouldn't have time to do anything with it, but she still didn't want to leave it here.
That's right, wasn't he?
After she made one last check of her things and got ready to leave the room, an idea came to her. Not a bad idea, if I do say so myself. Maybe this is what Kursu wanted. She quickly shook her head and chased the idea from her mind. Kursu would get mad at her. Life and death were like a binary, 0 and 1. You could be one or the other. There was no will that existed after death. If it existed at all, it existed inside the brain. Several days passed, and I still had no idea who had planted the memories in Kaguri's head. I went all the way out to talk to the priest who'd found her and even questioned the locals in the surrounding area, but I had no luck. Suzaha seemed to be doing her own research. She hadn't been back to the lab since then. She was in touch with Daru at regular intervals, so I didn't think she was in danger. I asked Shinoji and Moeka again, but neither of them seemed to have any luck. In this worldline, the lab hadn't even been attacked, which meant they might be up to something else. Even if they were, I had no way of even imagining what it was. But I was sure that someone had kidnapped a young Kaguri Shina and experimented on her, and only recently had she escaped. They had to be planning something, and I was sure it was bad. We didn't have time to wait for them to act. But without any clues, there was nothing we could do. My mind kept going in circles, and I kept getting more frustrated and nervous with every moment.
Sorry to make you do all this for me, Maho. Now it's almost done, and I'm doing it for me too.
Maho staggered out of the development room, sank into the sofa, and smiled sleepily. There were dark spots under her eyes. For the last few days, she'd been working on the device without any sleep. Her work needed to pay off soon, as fast as possible.
Anyway, I never would have come up with the idea of using a cell phone. And even if I had, I never would have actually tried it.
When you're talking on a cell phone, you always need to put it up to your temples, you know?
That's where the frontal and temporal lobes are. If you consider that the parahippocampal gyrus and the temporal lobe is where memories are stored, it makes sense, I think. The question is how we compress the memories, isn't it?
I'm working day and night to make that happen. Sorry, Daru. You absolutely insisted that I not let them find out that I'm hacking in from this lab, so it's extra hard. I got other work to do too, you know? To compress the memories, we needed CERN's LHC, no matter what. That one took a lot of thought. If we made an enemy out of CERN, that tragedy I'd gone through before would repeat. But the main reason that CERN had attacked us was the D-mails we'd sent in the past. If it weren't for that, they probably wouldn't have bothered. And since we weren't sending D-mails, CERN would probably never even detect us. Probably. Fortunately, Suzaha had the IBN 5100 that we needed for the hack. Things were coming together better than I'd expected. No, I mean, she's almost a completely different person now. You're right. I nodded at Daru. For the past few days, more of Kursu's memories had been invading Kaguri's mind. Lately, she'd even started discussing complex technical subjects with Maho. She was acting just like Kursu used to when she lived in America. At first, Maho seemed put off, but she eventually adapted. Maho probably wanted to get details about the device from Kursu, so it seemed to be helping.
You know, after seeing the time leak machine, I still can't believe you made the time leak machine in a lab like this. The idea of digitizing human memories and sending them to the past is an amazing one. You're brilliant, Maho. I'll say the exact same thing to you. Huh? You're a genius, and in the end, I'm just Salieri.
Watching the two of them, it was easy to fool myself into thinking that it was just Maho and Kursu talking. Hey, Kaguri.
Alright, I wanted to ask about Amadeus. What happened to the project? Unfortunately, it was shut down.
Kaguri.
Shut down? Why? Did Dr. Leskinen decide to do that? I don't know. The professor said the orders came from higher up. But it was going so well.
Hey, Kursu.
Yes? Huh? Was I just...
Kaguri. Kaguri Shina, right?
Kaguri Shina. That's right. I'm Kaguri Shina.
Kaguri suddenly put her hands up to her head, afraid.
But then, why are these memories in my head?
Kursu Makise's memories, not yours.
I don't know what that means.
Kaguri was acting completely different now than she was just a moment ago with Maho. She raised her voice like a child throwing a tantrum.
To me, these are all my memories. My memories with Mommy Mayuri and my memories with my dad when I was a kid, and then my memories of the college in America are all inside me. I don't know which are real and which are fake.
Her words turned to sobs. I could understand how she felt. From her perspective, it was all real. None of it was fake. It was easy to tell her to get a hold of herself, but it wasn't that easy for her to actually do it. I remembered what Kursu had said when she'd finished the time leap machine. It said you could never put your memories inside someone else's mind. It would destroy their personality. But just if we were to leave Kaguri like this, what would happen? There was a chance that her own memories would disappear and only Kursu's would remain. If that happened, who would the person in front of me become? Would they be Kaguri? Or would they be Kursu? If it was Kursu, that wasn't true. It was impossible. I couldn't even think about it. But the more I thought, the more I felt a horrible idea tugging at my mind, no matter how much I tried to ignore it.
Tell me, what am I supposed to do? Save me, Mommy, and Daddy.
It would have been great if my area was around. But unfortunately, both she and Druko had gone to school. Both of them were worried about Kaguri, and had told me to contact them if anything came up. But that didn't mean I could rely on them all the time. Kaguri-tan, why not go for a walk to get your mind off things?
That's right, humans have a tendency to overthink things when they're sitting still. It might be better to move around a little. Okay.
Alright, Ocarine, take care of Kaguri-tan.
Okay.
And I think that this is a pretty good place to cut it. Once again, a bit of a shorter episode, but at the same time, I feel like this is a good stopping point. This is getting really interesting. I didn't expect things to go this way, especially with Okabe's, intrusive thoughts here. The desperation over leaving Kurisu behind in the Alpha World line kind of coming out it's a little fucked up, I kind of like it, because it's something that makes sense that he would be thinking about. But overall, yeah, I'm really looking forward to see where this goes. I think we're about to hit a divergence point. But for now, thank you all so much for following my playthrough of Steins Gate Zero, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.